had a nice session. It was needed. It was really needed. And, look, in life sometimes, mind the lights. I had to stop, I had to pray, praying in the spin studio, so it's not a disco, but that's the vibe. And I thought I'd make this video today about managing conflicting priorities or competing priorities. Sometimes that's a term that's used. Specifically talking about sometimes when certain things in your life are arising and those things require a degree of attention. Now, however, the main principle here that I want to discuss is the reliance on God, as in if a situation arises that requires you to act accordingly, all you can truly do is address it and apply your best, and the outcome cannot be controlled. That outcome must be and will be in God's hands, right? And oftentimes we're sentimental, we are attached. We're too attached. We're attached to the idea of the sentiment of the way things are versus the sentiment of how things can be, the idea of discovering the unknown versus being comfortable with what we know. And that could be in the format of relationships, friendships, work, relationships, careers. Could be that, you know what, your business is just not performing and it's imminent that it must stop, it must end. It could be that a friendship that you've once had, you've seen this person that's not good for you, and again, you know you must move on. And yes, there are going to be times where it will occupy your mind, but this is where understanding how to explore yourself, how to have that journey of discovery, so that yes, this thing happened, yes, this thing wasn't an outcome that you desired, and yes, you were attached to that relationship, that friendship, that job role, that company. However, when we talk about catharsis, when we talk about dopamine, when we talk about testosterone, the animal mind is a simple one. The animal mind is, I bet you might have had the worst week, the worst month of your life, but if you've got the mind and the body, go do a 5K, you swim 500 meters, you spend 15 minutes in the sauna, you spend 15 minutes in the steam room, 15 minutes in the shower, guess what? The animal mind doesn't really care. Whatever it is that might be testing you, whatever it is that you might be attached to, whatever you think you cannot let go of, guess what? Try out giving yourself that catharsis. And on the other side of that coin is, well, I'm still here, and guess what? I'm enjoying life, and we just had a nice session, we just had a nice walk, we had a nice run, we had a nice swim. So it's too easy to obsess, it's too easy to be attached, it's too easy to feel like everything's collapsing. But guess what? It's one thing, and it's predestined, and God sometimes sends that catalyst to change your life. And we oftentimes have this inner voice. This inner voice speaks to us. This inner voice wants us to be cognizant of a message, an idea, an animation of reality that does not currently exist. And we know it within, and it's an inner truth, right? And it might be something to the effect of something you love, but maybe in your mind, you don't see the possibility of it. Something that gives you a greater purpose, and again, you shy away from it. And sometimes it comes with a degree of anxiety because it might be a paradigm shift. It might be that you're turning your back on, or you feel like you're turning your back, you feel like you're changing. And sometimes what you do is you kind of procrastinate, you back away from it, even though you know deep inside that actually this would be a path that would be a greater path for me to pursue. And those fears, and sometimes the idea of failure or the idea of what people may think and what they perceive a remedy to that sometimes, and it's a hard thing to do, is whatever it is you're going to do, move in silence. Just build. Just keep on building, and sometimes it's okay to stop and come back again and push. And it doesn't have to be an overnight outcome that you see from it. It might just be that, yeah, you keep coming back. You build, you leave, do what you're doing, come back again, build again, leave, do the same again and again and again until you start to see it come to life, until it starts coming together. And this is where sometimes training the mind and training the body can also help to reinforce that type of thinking. It might be that you never track how much you sleep, you never track how much you walk, you never track how much you run. And it may be that today is the day, and it could be that this month could be the month that you've walked longer than you've ever walked, or run longer than you've ever run, or read longer than you've ever read. And you know that you're pushing your mind, you know that you are now following that line for longer, and that begins to manifest itself into other areas of your life. We oftentimes think too far ahead. We oftentimes are overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to measure the outcome before we even started, and it stops us. So really today's message from this video, the +1, is about listening to that inner voice. Don't shy away from it. If you have to write it down somewhere, if you have to, just don't give up that vision, that imagination. It might be the best thing you've ever done. So just to tie it all up, it's about the intellectual real estate, it's about territory, it's about claiming that if you could open up your mind, if your mind could be a map that you could see flat on the table, if your mind was a 3-dimensional map, if your mind was a universe, if your mind was mapped out like the constellation of the stars, and you could just open it up and start to identify areas that you want to go to. This is the creative, this is the analytical. This is what I need to do to my mind to be able to hit my 50K this week. This is what I need to, this is the part of my mind I'm gonna need to apply to write 3 chapters this week. This is the part of my mind I'm gonna need to utilize to read a book this week. If you could just unravel the mind, if you could just, in bodybuilding, they talk about isometric exercises, they talk about feeling the muscle, they talk about feeling the pump, they talk about really engaging your mind, that mind-muscle connection. What if you could feel that part of your mind? What if you could tap in to that single part of the neurological path that's the trigger point? What if you could find a needle and just stick that needle in there, and now you can press on it anytime like a lever. You just pull it anytime you need it to work, anytime you need it to start to do what you want it to do. And that, my friends, so many different angles we can look at, but repetition overload. When you translate that cognitive connection into that movement, and if you do it enough, it could be you working on that bag, throwing 1,000 punches. It could be you running that. It's you pushing past a boundary that once upon a time was the limit. It was like, well, I can't do more than 100 press-ups. I can't do more than 200. I can't do more than 300. But maybe you've only ever been in the gym for 45 minutes or 90 minutes or 200 minutes. What if there was a day where you just said, well, you know what, instead of me saying today I'm going to give myself half a day where I'm just going to be here, right? Maybe on that day you do 300, maybe on that day you do 400, maybe on that day you do 500 press-ups, right? And it's that repetition overload that can start to allow you to program your mind to push beyond the limits. So it goes with that saying, It's with absolute importance, it's with absolute urgency that you start to fill your mind. Take that real estate. Make sure you occupy it. Make sure you are doing the things you need to do every day and every week and every month, so that no one else, nothing else, no algorithm, no human, no entity, no corporation, no organization, no tribe, no clan, no one except for you controls your mind. That's it. That's it for today.